Today we have Stephen Karachinsky with Ziro to talk about Microsoft Voice Solutions. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I think mostly good afternoon, maybe good morning to some of you out there. If there's some new folks I haven't had a chance to meet when we were down in St. Louis a couple months ago, pleasure to meet you, and thank you again for the time. So today, really want to talk about this Microsoft opportunity around voice and continue just to reinforce why I believe strongly that the time to get in this game is right now. And I'm just really going to jump into it for sake of time. If you've got questions, please fire them away. I'm not really going to do some intros about myself, but really kind of want to share a little bit about our story first, because I was speaking to Ed a couple of weeks ago, and while when we were together in St. Louis, we focused a lot around healthcare and what we can do with Teams voice in the hospitals to stand out and do something different. All of that is true. But I think we might have got a little bit typecast and just got off a little bit the bigger picture of what this opportunity is. And I think the key message that I'd like to share with you is, while I'm the vendor here in this case, like so many vendors that you work with, I really like you to think of me as a business partner and a business owner, like many of you are here in the room today. And the reason that we're focused on Microsoft and have bet on Microsoft and investing in Microsoft is because we believe that it is the best position for us to be successful, add value, and stand out, not only today, but really for the next 10 years. And that's how we think about our business. So I'm much more of a peer than this standalone vendor out there in the marketplace. A little bit of our story so you understand where we came from and what our background is and where we get this perspective from is we started this business in 2010. Myself and some of my colleagues worked at Cisco, and Cisco, while it's a phenomenal company, it's complicated. They build solutions. They're made by engineers for engineers, as my partner coined that phrase. And so we were started there. We started this business to offer help and support because it was very difficult for customers to find that help. And we built products and services to make things super easy. We almost built an HCS offering, but then BroadSoft happened, and we're one of the first to jump in on the BroadSoft train and had some really rough times. And then because Cisco didn't have a solid cloud offering for us and our market was moving, this is pre-COVID, and we needed an offering, well, we decided to bet on the market. And we've worked with Zoom, 8x8, Ring Centrals, and Microsoft. But we've really gone all in on the Microsoft ecosystem because it is the biggest, the most robust, the most partner-friendly and ready, and again, the biggest opportunity to be for us to be successful. I'm also thinking about where the opportunity for success really is when I'm making these decisions. So question always comes up, like, why Microsoft? Well, when we think about this, I think it's really important to take stock of two major trends that are going on in the space. And we spoke about this a little bit last time, but it's being reinforced even more. So one is IT has really taken over all decision making. And the IT buyer today is an integrated buyer who is focused on best experience. How do I make all of this tech easy, as opposed to best of breed everywhere? And people really looking to kind of choose a platform or two that they are going to focus on and leverage. And that's the IT buyer's mindset, which is very different from a telecom engineering buyer's mindset. The engineering mindset is best of breed. I don't care if I have 4 or 5 products and I got to make them together. There is too much going on in our customers' environments today. I think I saw a study recently where it said there's like 120 different applications that a customer has to manage at any given time. These IT buyers want to consolidate. So that's a major important trend that's going on. The second one is this notion of ecosystems. Nobody can do this stuff alone anymore. When you look around that wheel, we are all part of this ecosystem. But a key thing here is marketplaces. And where are customers buying to consolidate their dollars? Where are they leveraging these platforms that they're building? How are they making it easy to kind of get around procurement so they can buy things a lot easier? There's a lot of maybe major trends happening in the space. And the reason I share that stuff is because Microsoft is a leader, innovator, and changing the game with both of those two areas. They own IT. And if there was a slide I shared last time, like we're spending most of our day in a Microsoft application here or there. But there's another couple of key stats that it's important for everybody here on the call to know. One is the amount of money that this Microsoft ecosystem lends its to is second to none. You've seen the stats. It's not a Ziro or Stephen Karashinsky stat. It's analyst market proven stat. For every dollar of Microsoft license sold, there's $7 of service or $10 of software that you can benefit from. This is massive for you, your partners, and potentially to service their customers. It's huge. There's opportunity to move up market, sell more services here. Microsoft has a big gap as it relates to telecom. It is today still an IT-driven led ecosystem. They don't have phone telecom experts like you folks are today on the call, which means there's a massive opportunity to distinguish ourselves and help our partners and customers move into this space. There's a ton of programs and funding available from Microsoft to do this, and they have consistently innovated and redefined themselves for the last 40 years. So we're in a place where we're not making a bet that is kind of shaky. And when you look at, the proliferation of UCaaS companies that have come out over the last 10 years, there's a lot of good businesses that have good technologies, but they're in challenging situations. Look how 8x8's evolved. And again, whatever I'm talking about now is not discrediting these companies. Their tech is great. I'm just looking at the facts in the market. Like stocks at $2-3, that's a company that's challenged by what they can invest and how they can support businesses. Look at Vonage, phenomenally huge acquisition by Ericsson a couple of years ago. They've written off $2.5 to $3 billion of that acquisition already, which means the so what here is how much money is there left to invest in channel, in ecosystem, and R&D. Microsoft doesn't have those challenges. And I want to be associated and working with a customer and a vendor that's thriving. And that's the opportunity for all of you as well, is to take advantage of this, grow, be super successful, not just for today, but for the next 10 years. It's really important to understand that phone is not this afterthought for Microsoft. It is super strategic. And this comes from execs, partners all through the organization. First of all, Microsoft says very loud and clear that a customer that has phone is 40% more likely to renew their contract with Microsoft. Phone is sticky. You have all seen this with your telco, where customers are afraid of their telco and stay with them even when they're miserable or aren't happy. They will stay with them because they are afraid. That's how sticky phone is, and Microsoft understands it, and that's why they want to continue to be a dominant leader in this space. The other interesting thing that will impact you, your partners, and your customers is that while the majority of E5 contracts are sold because of security, there's some statistics around 76% of E5s are sold because the value is represented from security. The next 20% is phone. So if you're looking to sell Microsoft licensing and sell an E5 to a customer, or your partners are, phone is that next super important strategic tranche to get it over the finish line. It's huge. Phone is a precursor and core to getting really Copilot and some of the generative AI technologies going. 4 out of the top use cases around AI are all phone customer service related, so it's huge. And again, lastly, like Microsoft needs help here. This is not what they know. They don't come from this space, so represents a massive opportunity. And then I don't have to speak, like everybody knows the advantages of Microsoft Teams Phone is that all these other places where your customers are playing in 75-80% of their day, they're all Microsoft applications. So the integrations, the tie-ins, leveraging the contracts, licensing, and programs that Microsoft has that your customer is embedded with, and to have this all integrated, That's what these IT buyers want. And that's why the business is insisting that customers drive to Microsoft versus the engineers who are looking around. And what I'm looking for is to be on that side and help make it easy for these customers to take advantage of this and do what they want to do. So I've kind of set up the why, the value, the power of Microsoft here. But the good news for us is there's still a lot of challenges related with Microsoft and Teams Phone. And I kind of break them down into kind of these three buckets. So the first one, and again, these are opportunities for us. They're Microsoft challenges, but opportunities for us. And you'll see what I mean in a sec. First one is that telcos and other partners are holding the market back. The telcos and more traditional partners, every time they move someone off their system into Teams, they're losing anywhere from 20 to 60 cents on the dollar. And so they're only moving a customer over to Microsoft when they have to, when they're forced to, or they're afraid of losing the business. What this has caused is a lot of FUD in the industry, and they're not really incentivizing any innovation around moving people to Microsoft. So there's a lot of underfunded resources in the space. Brad, I saw you raise your hand. You have a question there? I'm going to move on, but if you want to hop in and share something, please go ahead and do it. So that's kind of one key piece. The second one is our customers don't have knowledge and expertise, around Microsoft Teams Phone, but they also don't really know what they have internally in their organization. This PBX was set up ages ago. The folks that are there aren't necessarily the ones that are there today. None of this stuff is documented, so they don't know what they need. And as a result, the move off their on-prem PBX to the cloud and to Microsoft seems like a really risky proposition. And then the last one is all this FUD that the competition is throwing at the market, FUD being fear, uncertainty, and doubt of how Microsoft is bad, is too expensive, this and that. And we'll tackle some of that again a little bit later. So there's all these challenges that are going on in the space. And Microsoft doesn't really have a demand problem. They have a capacity enablement program. And so to continue a little bit on our story, I was telling you we started at Cisco, then we bet on the market and chose everybody, and then we kind of whittled ourselves down into the Microsoft space. But once we got a chance to realize what these problems were and experience them and understand them, that's when we really reinvented the company. And so kind of we're in a Ziro 2.0 phase, to coin that cheesy term a little bit. And so what that means is all of those challenges that we saw, we found ways to overcome them through software tools that we've built, through process, and tweaking our services. And as a result, we've got to solve for each one of those that helps us collectively stand out when we're going to the market, and not just service our customers and make them shine and be successful, but really differentiate from not only traditional Microsoft offers on the space, but a lot of the UCaaS players as well, who still don't do these things really well. Give you one good example, and it starts off kind of what you see on the top there as automated assessments. When we deal with this situation that, a customer doesn't know what they have and where to get started, and what their configuration is like, etc. Well, we fix that problem. And as a result, keep the customer out of the equation about 80% of the time, so that we can have the fastest time to value. And so what we're able to do is go into a customer's environment, scan whatever PBX that they're using today, Cisco, Avaya, Mitel, Alcatel, Unify, you name it, and gather all of this information. And so what I'm talking about is the config, how their hunt groups are set up, their auto attendance, what numbers are in use, what carrier they're with, what rate center, what usage is like. And not only do I compare that with what it looks like in a Microsoft environment to make sure that that transition could be easy, I put that in a format that is so easy to understand and validate for the customer that their involvement really comes in at this validation phase. And once they've validated the info is correct, and what I mean by validation is like, yes, Stephen Karashinsky still works at this company. He's used the phone. We should keep him with the DID and using the phone. Once that's done, and the format we have is super simple and easy to use, we just automate the migration. And that's how we believe that we can not believe, that's how we've proven that we can kind of cut the we do migration 75% faster than anybody else on the market. And all of these aspects here as well, which I can get into a little bit later, are some innovations that we brought to the table to create great customer experiences and get them into teams faster. Here's a little bit what I'm saying. So when we look at a deployment, we really look at these 5 phases and save really 75% of the time through the innovations that we brought to the table. Now I'm just going to kind of move to another little section. Again, I'm going quick because we've got a half an hour, but I kind of want to get through this stuff. We've touched a little bit on this as well, but these items here that come up all the time as it relates to Microsoft really are myths in the industry. We have done a ton of validation and compared ourselves to all the usual suspects in the industry, whether it's dial pad ring, 8x8 Zoom, you name it. The costs always come in even. We've never lost a deal because it's cost. It's limited to large enterprises. Not true. We've done smaller organizations, not the super tiny of 50 and 100 seats, but really kind of that 200 seat plus. The reliability is off the charts. There's only one other player out there that compares with Microsoft on reliability, and that's RingCentral. Everybody else in the industry is less than 5.9 and doesn't even offer a guarantee on their SLAs. So like the myths out there really aren't true, which is an opportunity for us to educate customers, build trust and confidence, and show them that it is not a risky proposition, but probably much safer than going with some of the other players on the market. So I obviously believe in Teams. We bet our business on it and continue to invest heavily here. Should you and your partners and your customers? Well, let's start, and I'll be very transparent and honest, like I always am and will continue to be. When's Teams Phone not a fit? There could be a situation where your customer has some requirements and capabilities around features where Microsoft Teams doesn't fit. So here's an example. If you have a customer where leveraging the phone as a key system in that traditional phone system way, think about some retail locations where they're constantly taking calls, people putting on hold and have multi-line in a retail type of environment. We've got a customer who's in the auto parts and service business, with hundreds of locations across the country. They have very particular phone system needs. Teams wasn't a good fit, so we didn't recommend it and try and fit a square peg in a round hole. Sometimes technical support and training that a customer may need and want doesn't fit the bill with Microsoft, so that could be one. And the other elephant in the room is partnership incentives. Microsoft doesn't have 4x, 6x spiffs of MRR on their deals. What they do have, so like that, and I'm not telling anybody how to make money and where to make money from. I understand that we are all driven to make a living and make as much money as we can or whatever is important for you. So that may drive certain behavior, which is accepted. The counter that I have, instead of making a deal today, I want to be with this customer and supporting them for the next 10 years. I want to be able to sell more than a phone system and get involved in AI and security and contact center and be able to have tangible experiences around customer employee experience as possible. I want to leverage funds that Microsoft has that may not go in my pocket today, but will make it easier and faster to sell because they will fund some of the work that is to be done on these projects. So if these things are important, Teams Phone may not have fit, but there's a lot of other advantages that we've spoken about. So what's the risk of not going with Microsoft? Well, there's a couple that we see regularly in the space, coming from missed revenue, customer satisfaction and retention, being at a competitive disadvantage, potentially some integration challenges, and then really being market relevant. What I'll emphasize here is I won't preach of what I think is important. You can interpret these or relate to these in different ways depending on where you're coming from. But what we've seen in this market-driven world, customers don't want to buy a phone system anymore in 2024. They want their communications to be integrated seamlessly within everything they do. And when we talk about potentially missing out, being market relevant, missing revenue opportunity, the folks that we see being really, really successful here and speaking to what customers want and integrating this last tranche of data into the customer's environment so it's all in the right place so that can be mined through Copilot and other AI engines. That's what customers are looking for. And that's the opportunity that Teams Phone gives you, your partners, and help service your customer well. So there is a risk, whether you're going to realize it today or in 3 years, or may never happen for a certain customer, but this is how we perceive what the risk of not moving ahead is. So from our perspective, and I'm almost done and we can take some questions, the time is really now to get involved here while this stuff is happening and before kind of the boat moves. There's a lot of ways to make a lot of money, grow the business, the scalability is there. And I think probably one of the most important ones, which could be cliche, but doesn't get spoken of, having that market relevance and leadership, I think is really important. Why partner with us? I've spoken a lot about Microsoft, but like, where does Ziro fit into all of this? We're probably the only Microsoft Phone partner out there that focuses across the entire customer journey. And like I said, we are doing these migrations and helping customer achieve their time to value in 75% faster than anybody else. We are super focused on automation across all aspects of the customer journey here, right from the get-go on those assessments that I've spoken about. We can automate porting and have the majority of the migration completely automated. And then finally, where 80% of the TCO is for any of these technology deals, we spend a lot of time on support. So fully managed 24/7, 365 managed services, which leverage our tooling to help simplify and automate a lot of the day-to-day moves, adds, and changes with our customers. We help make this stuff easy, but we also help move off a phone and open up those doors into the Copilot and security world. And so with more time and one-on-one conversations, I can give you a lot of concrete examples how we do that. Finally, just to sum up, we're super proud. This has been a great month for us out in the industry. We won several big awards, two that I will highlight from UC today, which was the best Microsoft solution of the year, and also a Rising Star Award from UC Today. So that is tremendous recognition for us that we're super proud and humble about, really because it's some of the top industry analysts that voted and made that recognition. And when they're voting us over folks like Audio Codes and some other major players, I think it signals to everybody that our solutions are legit. We've got the credibility and doing something special, and even got the TMC Communication Solution Product of the Year with our Ziro for Microsoft platform. So we're super excited. We really want to get things going with you guys this fall in the second half of the year, and are looking forward to October, but would love to drum up a ton of business and opportunity before then. So thank you for your time. I rushed this as quickly as I could to fit in, and would be happy to take some questions with the remaining couple of minutes we have.
Okay, the first question is, are certain verticals more suitable for Microsoft than others?
I think so. I guess the only one I wouldn't focus on the most is retail, just because of the sometimes more complex related in the retail locations of what that looks like. Everything else has been super solid. No issues there.
Okay, next question is, how do you address customers' concerns about Microsoft's reported outages?
So Diana, I thank you for the question. I really focus on getting to the facts and the data around this. So every time there's been an outage and people are like, Microsoft's always down and it never works and we go specifically to the reviews and get on the specifics of what actually happened. And then I'm waiting on the one from last week, but from even the ones earlier this year, They did not affect phone. Even aspects of Teams was affected and even Azure, but phone was still working. So I get really clear and focused on the facts of what happened and address it very openly with the customers. In conversation moving forward with customers, we can look at strategies to mitigate situations where phone could be down, look at building in redundancy. And so depending on the use case with the customer and what they need, we would just build a solution to make sure that, whatever requirements they have, we can support it. So I answer these things openly and transparently. I don't try and dodge it, but I want to come out with real facts and not what we hear in headlines, get down to specifically what was down, for how long, what the effects were, and the cause, and then match that up with the customer requirements and make sure that we address it from the get-go. And if they need additional redundancy, then we address it and build it into a solution so that the customer is covered no matter what happens.